The banging on the bathroom door didn't stop for almost 6 minutes. 6 full minutes. Lorelei was screaming from the hallway, crying, rattling the handle like she was locked out of a vault full of family secrets. Meanwhile, I was sitting on the edge of the bathtub with a damp towel over my knees, trying not to hyperventilate. Mallory, her sister, was pacing in front of the sink, barefoot, furious, and whispering things I couldn't believe were coming out of her mouth. "Now she knows how it feels," she said, arms crossed, breathing hard. "Maybe next time she'll think twice before treating people like disposable options." Let me rewind. Just 24 hours earlier, I was scrubbing mold out of the dishwasher filter and wondering if I was the only person in this house still trying. Lorelei was out with some guy named Curtis, or maybe it was Trevor, I don't even know anymore, on her third open date that week. She said it wasn't cheating. That we agreed on this. That it's part of our growth. I didn't grow. I shrank. I wilted like the forgotten plants in our sunroom. But Mallory showed up unexpectedly the night before, suitcase in hand, saying she was done staying with her toxic ex and just needed air. I didn't argue. She was family. Even if she always gave me weird glances and wore clothes I wasn't sure were meant for indoors. We barely spoke until that night. Until the pipes in the guest bathroom burst and water started pooling around the toilet. I offered her the master bath, and she agreed, but insisted I show her how to shut off the valve under the sink first. That's how we both ended up in the bathroom when Lorelei came home early. That's how the door mysteriously clicked shut. That's how I ended up in the middle of a storm I didn't start, but somehow became the eye of. And Mallory? She wasn't panicked. She was calculated. For the record, I didn't want to be in that bathroom. I didn't plan it, I didn't lock the door, and I sure as hell didn't expect Mallory to start talking the way she did. It started with silence. Lorelei's voice was still echoing through the hallway, yelling, "What are you doing in there? Mallory? Gabe? Open the damn door." But Mallory didn't flinch. She just stood there, arms folded like she was preparing to testify in a courtroom. Her eyes didn't leave mine. She wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't nervous. If anything, she looked done. Just completely, soul-deep done with pretending. "You know she's been lying to you, right?" she said, her voice sharp and calm, like someone cutting bandages off a wound. "She's not dating one guy. She's got 3 regulars. One of them literally sends her gas money." I froze. Because yeah, I suspected Lorelei was seeing more than she admitted, but I didn't want confirmation. I wanted hope. Denial was easier. It didn't come with details. Mallory kept going. "She told me this morning that you were emotionally replaceable." Her words, not mine. "And you're still trying to fix her dishwasher and buy her oat milk like she's not nuking your life." That hit me harder than I want to admit. Because I was still buying oat milk. I was still adjusting the thermostat so she'd be comfortable when she got home from God knows where. And I was still pretending her experiment with ethical non-monogamy wasn't just her excuse to cheat in broad daylight. Then Mallory did something that truly rattled me. She sat on the bathroom counter and pulled her phone from her back pocket. Without a word, she scrolled, tapped, and held it up to my face. Messages. Lorelei's messages. Screenshots. One of them read, "If Gabe knew the kind of stuff I did last Friday, he'd cry into his beard oil. Face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy." Another, "Let's be real. He's not built for this lifestyle. I'm evolving. He's stuck in 2015 romance novels." The worst one. I swear, sometimes I wish Mallory had ended up with someone like him. Then maybe she'd know what boredom really feels like. I felt sick. I didn't ask to see more. I didn't want to hear more. I leaned my head back against the cold tile wall and just tried to breathe. And then, Lorelei's voice shifted outside the door. No longer shouting, now trembling. "Mallory," she said, "please, just open the door. Please don't do this." Mallory's lips curled into a smile I hadn't seen before. Like this was personal now. "Too late," she muttered, without looking away from me. "You opened the marriage. You don't get to slam the door when it swings the wrong way." And suddenly, I realized this wasn't about just Lorelei anymore. Mallory had her own reasons. And I had no idea what I just stepped into. I didn't know which betrayal stung more, Lorelei's casual mockery of me in her messages, or the fact that her own sister had been silently collecting them. Mallory wasn't finished. She reached into the drawer beneath the sink and pulled out a small velvet pouch. My first stupid thought was that it held jewelry. But when she opened it, my heart stopped. Inside were 2 wedding rings. Identical. Mine and Lorelai's. Except mine was still on my finger. I whispered, "What is that?" Mallory handed one to me. She ordered a second one. "Yours." She wanted to keep the original and give this to someone else. One of the guys. I just stared at it. Cold metal. No engraving. Nothing personal. Nothing real. She said you'd never notice. "That you're too passive," Mallory added. She actually laughed about it. I wanted to believe this was some sort of sick joke. That Mallory had misunderstood something. Or maybe this was some twisted form of payback between sisters. But then I remembered the way Lorelai had stopped wearing her own ring 3 months ago, claiming it was too tight. I even offered to get it resized. She said she'd figure it out. She figured it out. All right. She was repurposing our marriage like it was a thrift store sofa. From behind the door, Lorelai started sobbing now. Loud, theatrical sobs that echoed through the hallway. But I'd heard that cry before. It wasn't sadness. It was panic. Not panic because she was sorry, but panic because she was losing control. Mallory turned the faucet on, letting the sound of running water muffle the noise outside. Then she looked right at me, eyes sharper than before. "She thinks she's untouchable," she said. "That no matter what she does, you'll always be there. That she can drag you through this, and you'll just thank her for the privilege of her modern love." I said nothing. I couldn't speak. My throat felt like sandpaper. Then she added, "You have 2 choices. Stay the broken little puppy she walks all over, or stand up and show her what it feels like to get left." I didn't move. I was still paralyzed by the weight of it all. But Mallory leaned in, almost whispering now. "I'm not here to save your marriage, Gabe. I'm here to remind her that when she threw away a good man, she wasn't the only one who had options." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was this still about Lorelai cheating, or was this something more? Then the power went out. Total darkness. And from the hallway, Lorelai screamed my name like the house was on fire. I swear, the blackout wasn't planned. But the moment the lights went out, everything felt staged, like the universe itself decided to dim the spotlight and let the truth speak louder than electricity. Lorelai's scream from the hallway wasn't just fear. It was rage, and not the kind that comes from concern. It was the sound of someone whose illusion was cracking, who realized the game she was playing had slipped out of her hands. I stayed frozen on the edge of the tub, the power outage swallowing the room in shadow, only the faint glow of Mallory's phone screen illuminating her face. She didn't flinch. She just stood there like she'd expected it. Or worse, welcomed it. Then Lorelai started pounding on the door again. "Gabe? Mallory? What the hell are you doing? Why are the lights out? Open the door now." I opened my mouth to speak, but Mallory put a hand on my shoulder and whispered, "Don't. Just wait." Wait for what? My life was imploding. I had just learned my wife had replaced my wedding ring with a decoy, joked about me behind my back, and now I was trapped in a bathroom with her sister, who seemed to have a vendetta of her own. I didn't know who to trust, or if I could trust myself not to collapse right there on the tile. "I'm not trying to seduce you," Mallory said suddenly, breaking the silence in the most jarring way possible. "That's not what this is about. I'm trying to wake you up." I blinked in the dark. Wake me up how? By locking us in a bathroom while my wife loses her mind outside. She crouched beside me, her tone softer now. "Gabe, you've been walking around like a ghost. Everyone sees it. Lorelai turned your life into a playground, and you just stood there holding the swing set. I told her months ago to stop before she lost you for good. She laughed, said you'd never leave, said you were too attached to function." I felt that one in my chest. It echoed all the doubts I'd buried with fake smiles and quiet acceptance. "I didn't plan this," Mallory went on. "But the second that door shut, I knew this was it. The moment she would finally see what losing you might look like." I wanted to scream, cry, run. But mostly I just wanted to disappear, because if Mallory was right, then Lorelai didn't just betray me. She erased me. Suddenly, Lorelai's voice changed again. Quieter. Desperate. "Please, Mallory. Don't do this. He's my husband." Then came the words that stopped everything. Mallory stood, walked to the door, and calmly said, "Then maybe you should have treated him like one." Silence. A long, bitter silence. And then, Lorelai whispered something back so faint we barely heard it through the wood. "Please, just let me explain." Mallory turned to me, her hand on the doorknob now. "You ready for this?" I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. Mallory twisted the doorknob slowly, and when the lock clicked open, it felt louder than thunder. The door creaked back, revealing Lorelei standing there barefoot, makeup smudged, her phone in one hand and her expression somewhere between terrified and furious. The hallway light had come back on, power restored, casting everything in a harsh, honest brightness I wasn't ready for. She looked at Mallory first. "Why would you do this to me?" Her voice cracked, but there wasn't a drop of regret in it. Only offense. Like she was the victim here. Mallory didn't answer. She just stepped aside and left me exposed in the bathroom doorway, still holding the fake wedding ring in my hand. And when Lorelei saw it, her mouth opened, but no words came out. "So," I finally said, my voice brittle, "who was supposed to wear this? Trevor? Or was it gas money Greg?" Lorelei blinked. Her eyes darted to Mallory, then back to me. "It's not what you think." "Oh please," Mallory cut in. "Don't insult us both. You said it yourself. You downgraded your own marriage and expected him to be grateful." Lorelei's jaw tightened. "This isn't your relationship, Mallory." "No," she snapped back, "but I watched you dismantle it like it was a failed art project. I watched you turn him into a backup plan. I felt like I wasn't even part of the conversation anymore. Like I was a broken table they were arguing over in a garage sale. My hands were trembling, my mind racing, and yet there was a strange calm building in me. The kind that comes right before something breaks." Lorelei tried to step closer. "Gabe, I didn't mean to hurt you. I thought maybe you'd come around. Grow with me. That's what this was all about." "Grow?" I said, laughing bitterly. "You humiliated me. You turned our marriage into a self-help experiment with a revolving cast of men who all smelled like eucalyptus and lies." Her eyes welled with tears, but I wasn't moved. Not this time. Mallory stepped into the hallway, leaving just the two of us standing there. Lorelei stared at me like she didn't recognize who I was anymore. And maybe she didn't, because for once, I wasn't apologizing. I wasn't bending. I looked down at the fake ring one last time, then handed it to her. "You wanted freedom," I said quietly. "Now you've got it." She opened her hand slowly, but didn't close her fingers around it. She just stared at the ring. No defense, no spin, just silence. And then, from the living room, Mallory's voice rang out again, calm, casual, almost amused. "You might want to check your phone, Lorelei." Lorelei's face went pale. "What did you do?" she asked. But Mallory was already gone. And Lorelei? She was shaking. I didn't know what Mallory had done, but I was about to find out. Lorelei bolted into the living room like she was chasing a fire. I followed, not because I cared what she was about to see, but because part of me wanted to watch her squirm. She snatched her phone off the couch and unlocked it with trembling fingers. Her eyes darted across the screen as her breath caught in her throat. I watched her pupils dilate. Whatever she saw, it was bad. Her voice dropped to a whisper. No, she didn't." Mallory stood by the window, leaning casually against the sill, arms folded like she was waiting for applause. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. The sound that came next said everything. Lorelei's phone started buzzing. Once, then again, then nonstop. Notifications were pouring in like a flood. Texts, missed calls, group chats lighting up one after another. She dropped onto the couch like her legs had given out, scrolling with a kind of panic I'd never seen in her before. I stepped closer. "What did she do?" Mallory finally looked at me, shrugging slightly. "Just told the truth. In the group chat. All of it. Screenshots, timestamps, everything. Her poly support circle? Yeah, I sent them a special package. Her coworkers? Same deal. You sent? She told everyone you were the insecure husband holding her back. That she was forced to cheat because you were emotionally closed off. I just showed them the rest of the story." Lorelei let out a quiet gasp and covered her mouth. Her whole face had drained of color. The ring I gave back to her was still in her palm, now clenched like she was trying to crush it. "You have no idea what you've done," she whispered. Mallory tilted her head. "No, Lorelei. You have no idea what you've done. You broke something real, and you thought nobody would ever call you on it. But you underestimated two things, your husband's breaking point, and me. I should have felt triumphant. I should have high-fived Mallory and walked out with a suitcase and a spine. But I didn't feel any of that. I just felt hollow, like someone had unplugged my heart from everything that used to matter." Lorelei looked up at me, voice barely audible. "Can we talk? Alone?" Mallory raised her eyebrows, but didn't say anything. She gave me a look like, "Your call." And I didn't know what to say. Part of me still wanted answers. Closure. Maybe even the apology I knew she'd never really mean. But before I could respond, another ping lit up Lorelai's phone, and this time, she gasped out loud. She turned the screen to me, her hands shaking. It was an email. From HR, subject, immediate leave pending review. Her job had seen the messages. And suddenly, Lorelai wasn't in control anymore. Lorelai just sat there staring at the screen, blinking like she couldn't process what she was reading. Her world, the curated one she had carefully constructed with affirmations, gaslighting, and Instagram captions about authentic connection, was falling apart in real time. And all I could do was watch. She whispered, "They suspended me." Then she looked up at me, eyes wide with disbelief. "Why would they suspend me?" "Maybe because your company doesn't want its associate director talking about exploring primal urges in Slack DMs. Mallory said, deadpan. "Just a thought." Lorelai shot her a look that could melt glass, but Mallory didn't flinch. Honestly, I was in awe. She didn't come here to play peacekeeper. She came to burn the bridge and then salt the earth. And the strangest part? She wasn't even being cruel. She just looked disappointed, like she expected more from her sister and finally gave up. But me? I was still paralyzed. I didn't feel like a man taking control of his life. I still felt like a doormat that had just been yanked out from under someone's feet. Lorelai turned back to me, her voice suddenly sweet. Manipulative. "Gabe, please. This got out of hand." "Mallory." She didn't understand what we were trying to build. "You and I, this was about growth. Pushing boundaries together. Don't let her twist it." I nearly laughed. "You cheated. You mocked me. You replaced my wedding ring. What part of that is a boundary push? Sounds more like demolition." She stood up now, desperate, both hands reaching out like she wanted to physically pull the trust back into the space between us. "Okay. Yes, I made mistakes, but we can fix this. You're not blameless either. You never opened up, Gabe. You just clung to comfort." There it was. The old pivot. I'd seen it a dozen times. Make the other person feel guilty for your betrayal. Somehow, she always made me feel like I deserved what she was doing, like my discomfort with her journey was a lack of emotional maturity. Mallory didn't interrupt this time. She watched silently, probably to see if I'd cave, if I'd fold like I always did. But I didn't. For the first time in months, maybe years, I stepped back. Away from Lorelai. Away from her excuses. "You said I was replaceable," I told her. "Turns out, you were too." Her face dropped. Not because of the insult, but because she realized I meant it. That something inside me had finally snapped in a way that wouldn't bend back. She tried again. "Softer now. Can we just talk without your sister listening?" Mallory finally stepped forward. "That's fine. I was leaving anyway." Lorelai's eyes narrowed. "Of course you are. You've done enough damage." Mallory tilted her head. "No, sis. You did. I just opened the blinds." And with that, she grabbed her jacket and walked out the door. Lorelai looked at me, trembling now. "Don't do this. Don't leave me alone in this." I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure yet. But I knew one thing for sure. She already was. The silence that followed Mallory's exit was unbearable. Lorelai stood in the middle of the living room like a statue cracking in slow motion, arms crossed like she was trying to hold herself together. I sat on the edge of the armrest, staring at the carpet, feeling the weight of everything she'd said, done, and twisted. For once, I didn't feel the urge to fix anything. She broke the silence first. "So that's it." I looked at her, the woman I once thought I'd grow old with. And now, all I saw was someone who had outgrown decency in the name of self-discovery. "No," I said calmly. "That's not it. That's the beginning." Her brow furrowed. "The beginning of what?" "Me," I replied. "Starting over. Without you." She blinked, stunned. "You're really going to just throw this away? After everything we've been through?" I stood up and walked over to the door. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't crying. I just felt clear, for the first time in a long time. "You threw it away first. I just finally stopped pretending you didn't." She didn't try to stop me. She didn't collapse into a pile of apologies or fall to her knees in movie-style regret. She just stood there, defeated. Her control was gone, and she knew it. I walked out. No suitcase. No plan. Just my wallet, keys, and a phone still buzzing with texts from people who'd finally seen who she really was. I crashed on a buddy's couch for a few weeks. It was humbling. Weird. Quiet. but freeing in a way I hadn't felt in years. And Mallory? She didn't reach out again. She didn't need to. That wasn't the point of what she did. 6 months later, I had my own place. Small, nothing fancy, but mine. I started running. I joined a book club. I even took a cooking class, mostly to learn how to stop burning chicken, but still. And then one day, I got a card in the mail. No return address. Just a simple white envelope. Inside was a note. In neat handwriting. I wasn't trying to take anything from her. I just wanted you to see yourself the way I saw you. As someone worth fighting for. No drama. No flirtation. Just truth. I smiled. Not because I needed her, but because I didn't. For the first time in my life, I finally felt like a whole person. Not someone's second choice. Not someone's project. Just me.